We may have finished with the Generation 1 evolutions, but we've got time for one more evolution this year. It's Glaceon. Now, if you aren't familiar with Glaceon, it's one of the 2 evolutions introduced in Generation 4. It was introduced alongside Leafeon, and we will be running Leafeon, Umbreon and Espeon as fully evolved at some point in the new year. For now though, we are turning our attention over to Glaceon. Before we get Glaceon, we're starting as an Eevee, and we have an awful long way to go before we evolve. The Generation 4 evolution method is leveling up next to an Icy Rock. Now, we don't have an Icy Rock in Generation 2, but we have the Ice Path, so if we level up in there, we will evolve. But that means we've got an Eevee on our hands until all the way up to Claire. Now, we're saving a little bit of time by not taking a look at our stats. The timer wouldn't be going to look at the stats anyway, but they are exactly the same as we would expect for any level 5 Eevee. Our first encounter was a level 2 Sentret. We knocked it out in 2, so let's take on the first rival battle. This time the rival's going to have the Cyndaquil line. It stands to reason it's going to be super effective against us once we eventually evolve. We got a long way to go until we get there though, and we are making progress by getting through the first rival, so let's take on Falkner. He is our first gym leader together. He is a flying type specialist who leads with Pidgey. Tackles a 2-shot on the Pidgey, so Pidgeotto comes out to play, and it's looking like it's going to be a 3-shot. We finish off the Pidgeotto and we earn the Zephyr badge in 7 minutes and 17 seconds, and we have already done Sprout Tower. Let's now move on to Bugsy, the bug type specialist who leads with Metapod. And just like in every other challenge where we've started as Eevee, it looks like we're going to have a tough time, but we just about have enough health to survive this battle. We 3-shot the Scyther, we grow to 19, and we get through Bugsy in 13 minutes and 38 seconds. And that means just one thing: the dreaded Rival 2 is just around the corner. We all know what happened in the last challenge where we got PP stalled with Mudslap. Let's hope it doesn't happen this time. He leads with Ghastly, we use Mudslap, and Hypnosis misses. We knock out the Ghastly in 2 and we'll swap to Swift for the Zubat. Zubat's going to be a 2-shot and Supersonic misses. The last Pokemon is Quilava. We'll use Swift against Quilava twice, and we'll finish it off with a Mudslap. Even though we were burnt, we got through that battle very easily in a time of 14 minutes and 17 seconds. Let's now heal up and take a trip to Whitney. She is our third gym leader together, a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We've got Headbutts, Magnitude is Metronome, but we knock out the Clefairy in 2. That brings us onto the Miltank. Rollout misses, so she goes for Stomp. Then she locks herself into Rollout. It's not powerful enough to knock us out. We defeat Whitney in 19 minutes and 2 seconds. It's normally at this point when we start with Eevee that I'd be talking about an evolution, but we have no stone to evolve, so we're going straight into Rival 3. He's going to lead with Haunter, we're going to use Bite, and he'll finish himself off with Curse. We grow to level 31 and out comes Magnemite. Hidden Power's a 1-shot on the Magnemite. We've got Hidden Power Fire this time, by the way. We'll knock out the Zubat and then we'll finish off the Quilava with a critical hit Headbutt. And we defeat the rival in 28 minutes and 6 seconds. Let's now fall through the floor and arrive in front of Morty. Morty is the dual Ghost and Poison spectacular gym leader who leads with Ghastly. We'll bite the Ghastly, so we're onto the Haunter. Bite is also a 1-shot on the Haunter, and that brings us onto Gengar. Gengar flinches, so we don't need to consume the Mince Berry. The last Haunter comes out to play. Spite does nothing, so we finish it off in 2 shots, and we earn the Fog Badge in 29 minutes and 50 seconds. Let's now take on Chuck. He is the fighting type specialist who leads with Primeape. We of course are still a normal type, but either way we would have been weak to this battle. We 2-shot the Primeape though, and then we flinch the Poliwrath twice in a row to get a very easy Chuck battle, and the Storm Badge in 32 minutes and 23 seconds. Up next is Jasmine. She's a Steel type specialist who leads with Magnemite. We're going to be using Hidden Power Fire, and we're also holding the Charcoal to try and get the best damage output. It's a 1-shot on both of the Magnemite. The Steelix comes out to play. We take it deep into the yellow, but we low roll on turn number 2. Jasmine fortunately gets caught in a healing loop though. We finish it off with 2 further hidden powers, and we obtain the Mineral Badge in 37 minutes and 45 seconds. Our final gym battle as an Eevee is Price. He is the Ice type specialist who leads with Seal. It's a 1-shot on the Seal with Headbutt, so he sends out Dugong. We're going to continue headbutting, and it's a 2-shot. We grow to level 39 as the Piloswine comes out. Fury attack misses on turn 1, we high roll on turn 2, and that is Price defeated in 39 minutes and 36 seconds. Let's now head into the Ice Path. We can finally evolve. We are going to be saying goodbye to Eevee at this point, and we'll be saying hello to Glaceon in its place. We grow to level 40, we evolve into Glaceon, and let's see what Glaceon is capable of by taking on the 4th and penultimate rival battle. He's going to lead this time with Golbat. We've taught Icy Wind the TM courtesy of Price, and it's a one-shot on Golbat. We'll swap to Return for the Quilava, and it's going to be a 2-shot. Flame Wheel critical hits, so we are down to 68 HP, going back up to 71 with a level up. We one-shot the Magnemite, and here comes Haunter. We're going to use Bite against the Haunter. We've got great special attack now, so that goes down in 1. Hidden Power fires a one-shot on the Sneasel, and we are through the rival in 46 minutes and 28 seconds. And that means we are now able to take on Claire. She's our final Jotonian gym leader and leads with Dragonair. The only thing we've got to worry about here is an Icy Wind miss. She's going to send out Kingdra second, which is incredibly weird, but that means we get a very easy ride. Icy Wind hits against Dragonair number 2. We just need one more attack to connect, which is exactly what happens, and we defeat Claire in a time of 53 minutes, and we obtain the Rising Badge in 54 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's now head towards the Pokemon League, where we'll get ambushed by the rival for one last time. This time he's going to lead with Sneasel. We're going to save some super effective text by going for a Return on turn number 1, and the next Pokemon is Typhlosion. Smokescreen hits, and that means we miss our next return, but we knock it out in 2, and here comes Magneton. Hidden Power misses on turn 1, but he doesn't go for Thunder Wave. That means we can connect on turn number 2, and we'll also knock out the Haunter. Kadabra's up next. He sets up a Future Sight because Return missed on turn 1. We knock it out on turn number 2, grow to 52, and learn Ice Beam. We've just got Golbat to get through now. We just need an Ice Beam to connect. It eventually does. We knock it out in one shot, and we are through the rival in 58 minutes and 17 seconds. And with that, we are at the Pokemon League. So the first thing we'll do is heal up whether we need to or not, and now it's time to say thank you to the HM friends. It's a big thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get yourselves some well-deserved rest, while we take a look at Glaceon's stats going into the league. We are level 52 with 148 HP, holding the Nevermelt Ice with Return, Ice Beam, Haze, and Hidden Power Fire. 104 in attack, 150 in defense, 178 in special attack, 141 in special defense, and 105 in speed. Those, of course, the out-of-battle stats. We'll get a big buff in battle, as we'll see now, against Will. He is our first league member, a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Xatu. Hidden Power's a simple one-shot against the Xatu. We'll swap to Return against the Jinx, so we knock it out in 1. Slowbro comes out to play. We've not got anything great, but Hidden Power deals huge damage. Even with an Amnesia, it's going to be a 3-shot, and the next Pokemon is Xatu number 2. We knock that out in 1. The last Pokemon is Executor. That's weak to Ice. We knock it out in 1 shot. We grow to level 53, and we defeat Will in 59 minutes and 38 seconds. Second up is Koga, the Poison-type specialist who leads with Ariados. We'll use Hidden Power against the Ariados, and it is a one-hit wonder. Second up is Venomoth, and it goes exactly the same way. Fortress is quad weak to Hidden Power Fire, so that's another simple one-shot. And we'll swap to Ice Beam for Muck and Crobat. Even all of Muck's bulk could not save it there. That means we're going to have a simple time against Crobat. We defeat Koga in 1 hour and 11 seconds. Let's see how we got on against Bruno. On paper, you'd think this battle would be a struggle, but we have ridiculous special attack and huge physical defense. That means we are easily one-shotting the Hitmontop and one-shotting Hitmonlee. Hitmonchan comes out to play. We take negligible damage from the Mach Punch, and the next Pokemon is Machamp. We one-shot Machamp with Ice Beam. That is how huge our special attack is. Onyx made an appearance as well, but we are through Bruno on our first attempt in 1 hour and 49 seconds. Let's take on Karen. She has the potential to be tricky, but we one-shot Umbreon. Second up is Houndoom. We're going to use Return. Flamethrower deals a lot of damage, but we don't get burnt. We finish it off with Ice Beam, and the next up is Gengar. Gengar's a one-shot with Ice Beam, and here comes Murkrow. Murkrow's weak to Ice, we knock it out in one. The last Pokemon is Vileplume. We finish that off with Ice Beam as well, and we defeat Karen first try in 1 hour, 1 minute and 38 seconds. There is now only one obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame. It's time for Lance the Liar with the Flyers, and he leads with Gyarados. This battle shows just how high our special attack is. We almost one-shot Gyarados, and up next is Charizard. We one-shot Charizard so we don't get hit by Flamethrower, but we don't outspeed Aerodactyl. We flinch on turn 1, but we knock it out on turn 2, and now it's just the mere formality of getting rid of the 3 Dragonites. Number 1 goes down, number 2 goes down, and then number 3 goes down just in the same way, and we have defeated Lance first try in 1 hour, 2 minutes and 31 seconds. And that gives us our final Hall of Fame time of 1 hour, 2 minutes and 47 seconds. It's fair to say Glaceon has had a very easy ride up until this point, but this is only half of the story. There's another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we rejoin the action as we always do here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. And with that safely tucked away in our bag for another challenge, I am more than pleased to announce that Glaceon is more than capable of taking on our standard Kantonian routing. So we'll start here at Lieutenant Surge, then make our way over to Erica. It's down to Janine, then across to Sabrina, up to Misty in Cerulean City, across to Brock in Pewter, down to Blaine in the Seafoam Islands, and we'll finish off with Blue. And talking of Blue, if you do want to skip ahead to the Blue fight, it's going to be happening at 14 minutes and 20 seconds. For everybody else, let's now sit back, relax, and have our standard Kantonian chat. And I'm going to start off this one by talking a little bit about fatigue and burnout. I recorded Glaceon, Flareon and Jolteon within about a week of each other, and by this point I was getting incredibly sick of starting with an Eevee. I really love the Eevee line, but there is too much of a good thing. It took a lot of mental energy to be able to get this run going to start off with. It was fine once I started going, but getting over that initial hurdle was incredibly difficult, especially because I knew I had to keep Eevee all the way up to the ice path. I'd chosen to be as faithful as possible to the original evolution method, so I didn't have a get out of jail free card by either starting fully evolved or putting in the ice stone for this backport. But that has made me decide I'm not going to do the other evolutions for quite some time. The End of the Line series is being rested for a couple of months after this month, but I think the first 2 End of the Line videos that we'll do when we come back are going to be Espeon and Umbreon starting fully evolved to give me that change from starting with an Eevee, and then we're also going to be doing a Leafeon backport where we start as Leafeon at around about the same time. So that means we'll see the other 3 evolutions that we've got so far in a different form and a different format, and that will hopefully mitigate some of the burnout I've got with all of these evolutions. And that brings us nicely on to burnout in general. I'm definitely not burnt out on challenge running, far from it, but to prevent burnout from kicking in, I'm changing up the formula slightly. Most of the Pokemon we've got left on the main series leaderboard are going to take a lot of mental energy to play. There are some very tricky Pokemon in the mix there, and that's why until the end of the year we're seeing a lot more backports. And then, as I'm sure I've mentioned a couple of times before, it's all change in the new year. We're still going to be having videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, but the actual series are changing, and every series is going to be fortnightly. So if we start off the 2 weeks with a main series challenge, after that it's going to be an in the middle challenge followed by a Pokemon Emerald challenge, and then the week after it's going to be the first step, one of our unevolved Pokemon, followed by a backport, and we'll finish off the 2-week cycle with Fire Red. And I think that's going to give us the best mix of content here on the channel. It's going to be a little bit of everything, and that way I as a player don't get burnt out, and hopefully you as a viewer don't get burnt out either. We'll see how it goes for a couple of months and we'll chop and change things from there. But let's now turn our attention back to the challenge at hand as we take on Blue. He's our final gym leader who leads with Pidgeot. Ice Beam's a one-shot on the Pidgeot, so he sends out Arcanine. And this Arcanine proves to be incredibly problematic. We can't even take off half of its health, but Flamethrower can knock us out with a critical hit. We'll try again and see if the ranges were bad, but honestly I have a feeling we're going to have to go on the grind here. We're back on the Arcanine, Flamethrower hits for massive damage, we can't two-shot and we get knocked out. We have no choice but to try and get some extra levels. The first place, of course, we'll go is the Viridian Trainer House, and I really cannot stress enough just how good this place is for some quick experience. It really is the best battle you can do in Kanto, and it's right on the doorstep of Viridian Gym. It's a shame you can't keep infinitely rebattling across the course of a single day, because if we could do that, then that would make grinding in Kanto incredibly easy. So we've got our extra level and we'll try again. Let's see how we get on this time. We know that Pidgeot is completely irrelevant. We just have to focus on this Arcanine. We use Ice Beam with critical hit, Flamethrower hits us very hard back, but Arcanine is now in a little bit of a healing loop. We freeze the Arcanine as he uses another full restore, but we are now in two-shot range. We knock out the Arcanine, we are onto Alakazam, Psychic hits us hard, we knock it out with one Ice Beam, but we are only on 37 for the rest of this battle. Rhydon's a free one-shot, but Gyarados comes out to play. It hits us with Hydro Pump and we take another reset. So we'll have to go on the grind once more and we're going to get a bunch of levels. Now while we're doing this grinding, I'm going to preemptively answer a question that I think will be on a lot of your minds at the moment. Why didn't I go for Rain Dance? And the answer is simple. While Rain Dance would negate a lot of the issues with Flamethrower, the Gyarados would come out next, and Hydro Pump would be incredibly difficult to survive. So really all we would be doing there is kicking the can down the road. We'd have a much easier Arcanine, but then Gyarados would be very, very tricky. So in my view, it was much better to get some extra levels now, because we'll probably need them for Red anyway. So we're going to go back in at level 66 now. We know we don't have to worry about the Pidgeot. Here comes Arcanine. And in a carbon copy of our first Blue battle, he critical hits and knocks us out. Let's try again, shall we? Pidgeot is irrelevant, we don't need to think about it. Arcanine's back out, so we use Ice Beam, Flamethrower hits, but now we survive with over half of our health. That brings us on to Alakazam. We know Alakazam's a one-shot, and all the time we are passively regaining with the leftovers. Rhydon's another simple one-shot, so we are back almost at full health for the Gyarados. We use Ice Beam, we take it deep into the yellow, and Gyarados gets caught in a healing loop. We freeze it on turn number 2, that's completely unnecessary. He was going to full restore either way. We can finish it off, and that brings us very nicely onto the last Pokemon, Exeggutor. I completely forgot that the rain was up here, so I used Hidden Power Fire instead. It didn't matter in the end though, we knock it out in 2 shots, and we are through Blue in a time of 1 hour, 24 minutes and 52 seconds. And with that, we've got all of our gym badges. Let's now make our way into the Silver Cave, where the final trainer of the challenge is waiting for us. This is Red, and he leads with Pikachu. Now, we stand no chance of outspeeding this Pikachu, but we can one-shot it. So as long as Pikachu goes for Charm, we are fine. Charizard, however, is a different matter. Even though we froze it, we got burnt, we have to take a reset, so we'll use some rare candies. We're back onto the Pikachu, we knock it out in 1, and here comes Charizard once more. Flamethrower is still hitting like a truck, and we are unable to get past the Charizard. Another set of rare candies goes in, we're up to level 73. We are going to be fishing for the freeze here. I think that's going to be our best way to get through this battle. Once again, we can't Rain Dance because that will make Thunder 100% accurate. We freeze the Charizard this time and we knock it out on turn 2. Here comes Espeon. We don't have a lot of special defense, we're down to 15, we don't freeze the Espeon, and we take another reset. Let's use our last rare candies up to level 77. We use Ice Beam against Pikachu, we knock it out in 1, and we are finally at a point where we outspeed Pikachu. We're onto the Charizard, we don't freeze it, so we take a reset. We'll try again, let's see how we get on this time. We know we don't have to think about Pikachu, it's all about this Charizard. If we can freeze it, we can try and make something happen. That's what happens this time. We're going to swap to Haze. Haze might seem pointless, but we are wasting turns gambling on this Charizard not thawing out. We get back up to 166 as the Espeon comes into play. We freeze it on turn 1 again, so we're going to waste another couple of turns with Haze. We've got a lot of Haze PP, and that means we're almost at full health for the Snorlax. It's going to use Amnesia, which is going to be incredibly frustrating. We're going to try and play this one smart. We'll use one more Ice Beam, then we'll swap to Haze, risking Body Slam. We don't get paralysed, and Ice Beam with a crit knocks out the Snorlax. Up next is Venusaur. Venusaur won't survive an Ice Beam. We are on 153 HP for the Blastoise. We freeze the Blastoise. That is 3 freezes in one battle. That is incredibly rare, but that gives us what we need to defeat Red in a time of 1 hour, 29 minutes and 4 seconds. And when you consider we had to grind for Blue, that time is very, very, very good. That time would put us in 36th place on the main series leaderboard, and as for the battles of the evolutions, there's only actually around 4 minutes between all of our placements so far. Of course, we're not staying on the main series leaderboard, we are seeing where we are on the Backport leaderboard, and it is a very valiant 7th place, in between Linoon and Galvantula, and honestly I think that's roughly where Glaceon deserves to place. But with that, we are done. So really hope you enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave a like. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you want to see more challenges just like this. And until next time when it's Dugong's turn to reach the end of the line, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.